Gamers definitely have something in common, the dreaded backlog. The backlog of the forgotten realms we once were so thrilled to visit, the fantasies, the dystopias, the neon cities. At one point or another, we couldn't wait to explore these worlds to their absolute fullest, but what happened? There could be a myriad of reasons behind why someone stops playing something. Some reasons could be grand life reasons, and others could be minute, self-convincing problems that might not even actually exist. Today, I will talk about take a dive through some of the many reasons why I personally think people might not finish a game or don't commit to one in one way or another.
Everything that lives is designed to end. We are perpetually trapped.
I think change is the biggest reason why someone might not finish a game, and I mean change in multiple ways. That could be change in gaming taste, changes in our daily schedule, and changes in small things in our lives that can definitely contribute to why we just up and leave games. Speaking from personal experience, when I started my current day job, I had to readjust my time. I leave the house from 7:10 in the morning and don't get home until almost 5 p.m. most days. At the beginning, this left me very exhausted. I didn't have the desire to sit and play through a game even if I wanted to. It was hard to sit and focus on playing most games when I just wanted to come home and crash after work. However, after almost 2 years of doing this, the schedule, it became easier and easier for me to manage my levels during the day. And one game that got the brunt of this change for me was Hogwarts Legacy. The game just got tossed to the side despite my enjoyment of Harry Potter, and it's just still collecting dust. GG's Hogwarts Legacy. Surely I'll play you someday. Surely. A phenomenon I notice a lot is when someone's taste in games change. Though I think the change in your preferences is more so a spectrum rather than something that is black and white. I've seen friends and others have an absolute week-long or sometimes month-long obsession with indie games, specifically games like Lockdown Protocol or Cult of the Lamb and things adjacent to that. Then it seems like over the course of a couple of days they want to grind a MMO, maybe even try a new competitive-esque game. It is truly hard to manage your preferences sometimes when you like so many different genres of games, though I think a way to be intermediate this is committing to one game until you finish it. Though admittedly, I should take my own advice. Play Stellar Blade, Vamp, or Metaphor. Probably Metaphor. Fucking vampires. Maybe many of you can relate to this. I am a big fantasy nerd. I love being in worlds with dragons and monsters and being able to adventure out in the world with these quests as grand as life, while some are, well, gathering fucking sticks. Games will come around that genuinely excite the fantasy nerd and things I love within me, and it's so easy to drop the current thing I'm playing in favor of this new shiny experience that's soon to be. And because I have these preferences, the backlog only piles and piles. It truly doesn't help that most RPGs, fantasy, or action-adventure games are 100 plus hours long. Going back onto the topic of gaming taste, those of you in the category of mostly multiplayer gamers know the absolute agony of enjoying a version of a game, then the devs drop a brand new shiny patch, and suddenly the game is entirely different. So many times do games lose and gain their player base simply from an update that adds a new character or a new weapon or changes some kind of system mechanic, and it really does take something so small to throw people off a game. Humans are ever-changing creatures. We adapt as we need to because it's literally ingrained in us to do so. That applies to literally everything, gaming or not. Juggling games is a double-edged sword. There are so many games we enjoy out there in the world that it feels like a disservice to us to play those games that we love. I remember at one point I was juggling Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, Stellar Blade, and Valorant. Guess which one took up most of my time? The idea of having multiple games I think is good on paper. However, I think most people quickly come to realize that it's really not juggling anything. Instead, it's having a main game you autopilot to, and then when you do feel like turning on your brain, you switch to another title for an hour. Guilty as charged. It takes a lot to commit to one game, especially for people who tend to play mostly multiplayer games. I think it's something I always notice, how many are so used to the fast-paced things that they get from multiplayer games that when they slow it down in a single-player story-driven game, it's almost impossible to sit through.
Alright, Pinhead, your time is up!
I didn't really know how to properly name this section, so I'll put it under social media, but also community. The internet herd mentality is a very real thing. One thing I tend to have a problem with in the gaming community, and honestly a lot of other communities, are those that take the opinion of many as a fact rather than what it is, an opinion. There really isn't a problem with using the general thoughts of whatever audience you're looking at as something to consider, but genuinely, I implore people to try it for themselves and form their own thoughts and see if they agree or disagree. Games come around so often. Most time it feels like games will drop and it's like a shiny care package, and then a month or two down the line, you have another shiny gift wrap care package of a game, and it completely takes your vision off of what you're currently working on. And these trailers are so carefully crafted and created to show just the best of what's capable in the game. And I think Star Wars Outlaws is a good example of a shiny gift wrapped concept. And then it's fucking Dookie water. Star Wars Outlaws, at the basis of their pitch, was open world Star Wars, and at first it's like, oh my god, that's awesome, and then you can't use a lightsaber, and it's stealth, and the voice acting is flat, and okay, enough of that. Game shows like the PlayStation Showcase, the Game Awards, Gamescom, etc. are all examples of things that are absolutely wonderful ways of discovering up and coming new games, and I am not saying these shows are bad. It's far from it. I love watching these things. It is an amazing opportunity to see what's coming. I just want to point out how many of us dropped what we were doing when Elden Ring was announced. Come on now. The irony as a content creator to say that content creators are genuinely having so much sway over others is crazy, but it is true. Though I think this mostly falls onto the viewers rather than the creators themselves. Channels who share their opinion on a game, me, and have viewers that will blindly believe them, not me, is astounding, I think. I do like hearing what my favorite streamers and YouTube creators think of the game, but I also like seeing how my opinion differs from theirs, and maybe I can find a common ground there. Like, for example, I think Monster Hunter World is way more fun than Monster Hunter Rise. And Rise is not a bad game, by any means. I just think Monster Hunter World has a better feel in-game in my hands than Rise does. And many other creators see the same thing I do, and others don't see it as I do. And that's wonderful. I love constructive discussion. I love hearing other people's perspectives and adding to my own knowledge as I continue to carry my own thoughts and opinions as well. Unfortunately, a lot of social media discourse is not constructive discussion. It's just not. Out of the two reasons I listed above, I think the most important one is that a game is simply not for the one consuming it. I mean, there are so many different options and genres in the entertainment world that it's no wonder that humans have created so many diverse stories and timelines and worlds. Games can have the right concept to you on paper, but shit, maybe that combat alone is not what you enjoy playing, and you cannot see yourself playing that kind of combat for the next 60 plus hours. I know many people who don't like Persona or Metaphor because of turn-based combat. They just don't care for it. They don't like it. And that's understandable. You know what I'm saying? Not everyone likes that. I just think it's very cool as an extra layer of critical thinking that you need to think about and management. Or maybe the character you play as just isn't interesting enough for you to continue playing as them. Same could be said for the world itself once you actually get into it. Nothing is more disheartening than buying a game you are so excited for, only for it to be the opposite of what you wanted. It does sometimes feel like games tend to do the same formulaic thing of open world, big boss health bars, go next. I mean, open world games have become so forefront, it comes as a shock when a game isn't as open world as people thought. I mean, Black Myth Wukong is an example of this exactly. The game was announced, and most people thought it was just Wukong but Souls, and turns out it's not. And because it's not, I think many people dropped that game, but that game still does amazing, will continue to do amazing. Like, that's just a good ass game. Play Black Myth Wukong, that game is fucking peak. Games are worth experiencing through and through. And I also need to work on finishing games that I've started, but I have fallen victim to everything that I talked about here today. Games deserve to be explored, so explore them. Hey guys, this video was quite literally something that I just wanted to share my thoughts on. I didn't really go into too much grand detail on each topic that I had. This was more so a very passion created video because I've been experiencing this, and as someone who's trying to mediate it and see others mediate it, I just wanted to share the main reasons that I see games just not get finished. But anyway, thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. And yeah, come through to the Twitch streams. See you, bye.